British Prime Minister Theresa May has been thrown a lifeline by the European Union. Brussels has given her a 2-week reprieve until the 12th of April to finalise Brexit. MPs have so far rejected May's proposed deals to exit the EU. Our correspondent in the Belgian capital, Kevin Ozebek, joins us now from the site of the summit. Now, Kevin, what is this reprieve in exchange for exactly? In other words, what is she supposed to deliver on?
Well, I have to say, Vuyo, this is pretty incredible because what the EU did at this summit was completely get into the steering wheel, take control. It put new red lines, all in the form of this new Brexit calendar. So for nearly 2 years now, we thought March the 29th, which is just next Friday, would be Brexit Day, the day that the UK is officially out of the bloc and no longer a member of the EU. But what the EU did is it's completely reworked this. The new date to watch now is April 12th. And it has given the UK 4 options. It can pass the deal, the divorce deal, that not once but twice UK MPs have voted down, as you alluded to, if they do pass it the 3rd time. So if the 3rd time is the charm, what the EU is going to do is automatically extend the Brexit date to May the 22nd. That would give the UK time to pass any domestic laws it needs to cross its T's, dot its I's, so it can smoothly exit the bloc with that deal. Now, in the pretty likely event that MPs pass it down or vote it down the 3rd time, then there's 3 options left. The UK can crash out of the EU on April the 12th without a deal, or it can tell the EU it would like to do a very long extension, but that does come with a caveat. Then the UK would have to participate in European elections. It would have to run MEPs or members of the European Parliament. Or it can say, we just want to stop Brexit, we'll revoke Article 50. But that final option, Theresa May says, no, that's very unlikely. She does not want to go down that path.
Well, from everyone who has had anything to say on this, given where things are at this stage, it doesn't seem like Theresa May does have any cards to play still. So how different really is this from, simply, throwing the ball back at her and saying, go sort this thing out, we're giving you one more chance, but knowing fully well that she really doesn't have too many options, if at all?
Yeah, Vuyo, that's a really great question. Is this just kicking the can down the road and just pushing everything back a few weeks? There is no doubt about it. Theresa May is politically wounded. She is so weak, and you can also make the argument she is leaving Brussels or has left Brussels much weaker than when she came here. She came to Brussels trying to get an extension all the way to June 30th. Well, that's not what she's going home with. She's going home with a calendar she did not ask for at all. But this is engineering on the EU's end, on Brussels' end. Because here's what they did by resetting this calendar and essentially telling Theresa May how this timeline is going to work now. They have completely preserved the integrity of the European elections. There was a lot of worry that maybe Theresa May would push Brexit past that. There would be some confusion, some questions. Will the UK participate in those elections? Will they not? So the EU has reworked this so those elections are preserved. Also, Vuyo, what the EU did here is it is essentially telling the UK, we are giving you all of these options. You don't have to leave without a deal. You don't have to crash out. There are options B, C, and D. So on April 12th, if there is a no-deal Brexit and the UK crashes out, tariffs skyrocket, there's chaos, Brussels can say, London, we warned you, and you didn't have to go down this path.
Well, Kevin, just before I let you go, look, at the end of the day, it's up to the Brits to decide. But from the conversations that are taking place in Brussels, what are the EU members saying are the possibilities that Britain could perhaps still explore, which presumably they haven't explored up until now?
Vuyo, I would say we are past that point. There are no other options to explore. And EU leaders are getting a little bit more, I don't want to say comfortable, But realistically, they do now know that there is a much greater possibility for a no-deal Brexit. What's very interesting is the frustration level is, through the roof now here in Brussels when it comes to the UK. They don't want a no-deal Brexit, but the EU leaders are also at the point now where they don't want to keep dealing with Brexit. It has sucked up the agenda here for 2 years. Vuyo, just for example, for this summit, there were many other things on the agenda. For example, the EU is trying to get a much tougher tone against Beijing. It's worried about Chinese investment here. That was supposed to be talked about Thursday night. It had to be pushed until today because the Brexit talks went on for so long. So the EU says we have to move on at this point. We are losing a good friend, but at this point, they have to go so we can get on with our own lives.
And that's where we're going to leave it for now, Kevin. Our correspondent in Brussels, Kevin Ozebek.